Good morning. This is Bhatia, and this is a time of we are going to study about BHIC 133, Unit 3 and 4. Today we will cover Unit 3 and 4. In Unit 3, we will study about provincial kingdoms. Provincial kingdoms means near about the kingdoms of that particular area. First of all, we are going to start with introduction. Our focus would also be on emergence of regional powers in northern and western India. We will discuss in this unit the territorial expansion of regional kingdoms of Kashmir, Rajputana, Sindh and Gujarat. We will study the political establishment, expansion, disintegration of the above kingdoms. You would know how they emerged and succeeded in establishing their hegemony. Next is emergence of regional powers. Some theories how they emergence in the regional powers. By medieval period, in fact, settlement over the best available agricultural land seems to have almost been completed. This led to intensive agriculture that in turn gave way to greater intensity of settlement, vice versa, population growth, population pressure. The latter two factors helped greatly in increasing the strength of army in both ways, the fighting power as well as resistance power. That's why, according to Schwarzberg, geographical features made the conflict inevitable and contributed to the emergence of regional states. Next, why regional state could not become pan-Indian. There were certain geographical structure, circumstantial factors behind this. Foremost is their peripheral location. States of Kashmir, Gujarat, Rajputana, Sindh, Odisha, Assam, Bengal do not lie in the heartland of empire to assume the central status. Mountainous terrain also obstructed their smooth expansion. Kashmir's expansion was mainly obstructed by inaccessible mountains. Increasing aridity of Great Indian Desert in the northwest obstructed the growth of Sindh and Rajputana kingdoms. Another problem was the paucity of revenue resources, which prevented them to provincial kingdoms maintain large armies to extend and consolidate their gains. They had a very small area under their direct control, whose revenue could directly reach to the state. Increasing feuds of Rajputs among their clan members was the main reason why the Rajput state could not assume the pan-India status. Central and Eastern India. Now we are talking about Central and Eastern India. First of all, we are going to discuss about Malwa. This is the time period when Delhi Sultanate period was declining at that time. The decline of Sultanate paved the way for the emergence of independent kingdom of Malwa. Dilawar Khan Gauri, Tughlaq governor of Malwa, assumed independence in the year 1412 and declared himself the king of Malwa. He extended the boundaries of his kingdom by occupying Nimar, Soyar, Damo, Chanderi. Dilawar Khan married his daughter to Ali Sher Khalji, the son of Malik Raja Faruqi of Khandesh, and took his daughter for his son Ayub Khan. These matrimonial alliances helped in safeguarding his southeastern frontier. By maintaining friendly relations with Muzaffar Shah of Gujarat, he successfully saved Malwa from attacks. But soon after his death in 1406, Malwa fell prey in the imperialistic designs of Muzaffar Gujarati. But in 1408, Husham Shah succeeded in regaining control over the Malwa throne. Very soon, he occupied Kerala and Gagaron. He also had his eyes over Gwalior, But realizing the might of Mubarak Shah, he finally withdrew in 1423 after causing some damage in the countryside. Hushan Shah entered into matrimonial alliance with a Muslim ruler of Kalpi to use the latter as buffer between Jaunpur, Malwa and Delhi Malwa. With Sultan Mahmud Khalji's second death in 1531, the Khalji dynasty comes to an end. Yes, this is the time period of Delhi Sultanate. And now this is the beginning time of Mughal period at that time. Henceforth, for the next 3 decades, until the final occupation of Malwa by Mughals in 1562, incorporated as separate Suba by Akbar in 1580, Malwa became the hotbed of constant struggle among the Afghans when Bahadur Shah finally succeeded in occupying Malwa in 1531, and later among the Afghans and the Mughals. Next is Jaunpur. Afif informs us that the city of Jaunpur on the bank of river Gomti was founded by Firoz Shah Tughlaq during his second Bengal campaign that time. This city became a strong power base and it soon evolved as a rival to Delhi for some time. During his successor's reign, Mahmud Sharki, Muhammad Sharki, and Hussein Sharki, clashes with the Delhi Sultans were very frequent at that time. Finally, Behlol Lodi annexed Jaunpur in 1483-84 and placed it under the charge of Mubarak Nohani. Hussein Shah did attempt desperately to recover Jaunpur but failed. Behlol finally placed his son Barbak Shah on the throne of Jaunpur, that's why ending the era of Sharki rule. Next, Bengal, the very fertile agricultural land at that time. In Bengal, the geopolitical condition of Bengal, especially the long distance from Delhi, meant constraint on its control by the sultans of Delhi. The governors took full advantage of distance as the central power weakened as rulers got involved elsewhere. The nobles used to act almost de facto rulers in the region. Earlier, Iltutmish had to march in person to assert his authority, and it took almost 3 years for Balban in crushing the rebellion of Tughril Beg, the governor of Bengal. To assert Delhi's hold over Bengal, Balban appointed his son Bughra Khan as governor in 1281. But after Balban's death, Bughra Khan decided to stay in Bengal rather than contest the Delhi throne 1287. Later, we see Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq marching towards Lucknowti. However, it was during Muhammad Tughlaq's reign that more effective policy was adopted. They later appointed his trusted nobles at Lucknowti, Sonargaon, and Satgaon to establish a balance among various powerful factions. It generally helped in reducing the power of the local magnates and increased the hold of Delhi. However, Delhi was challenged at various intervals. Next point we are covering as Assam. Assam. Geographically, medieval Assam covers the entire Brahmaputra Valley as far as river Karatoya in the west, while Mishmi Hills and Patkai Boom formed the northeastern boundary. The boundary of state of Burma ran parallel to its east. During 13th to 15th centuries in Assam, a number of tribal polities, just like Chutias, Thai Ahoms, Koch, Dimasa, Tripuri, Manipuri, Khasis, Jaintias, these tribals existed at that time in Assam. Next is Kamata Kamru, an important feature of 14th century. Kamata kingdom was a great uprising of Bhuyan chiefs who took advantage of the unstable conditions. A war of succession followed between the two cousins, Dharman Narayan and Durlab Narayan. In the beginning, Bhuyan chiefs failed in their designs at Durlab Narayan and Arimata were more than a match to their power. However, after Arimata's death, his successors was too weak to face the Bhuyan onslaught, and around mid 15th century, Rai Prithu's line was supplanted by a new Bhuyan dynasty with Niladwaj as its founder. Nilambar was the most powerful king of the Khian dynasty who succeeded, establishing extending his frontier from Karatoya to Varanasi. He also took advantage of political turmoil, created a Bengal by Abbasids, and succeeded the occupied northeastern part of Bengal. Alauddin Hussein Shah was able to crush the power of Nilambar. With this came to the end of Khian dynasty. Means one dynasty after one dynasty after another dynasty. The dynasties ruled and they sum up their rule, and after their rules, next dynasties rule at that time. Next is Ahoms. Ahoms known as tribals. Ahoms belong to Mao Shan, sub-tribe of Thais of Southeast Asia. In 1228, they migrated from Mogong, that is a principality in Upper Burma, and Yunnan to Upper Assam, where they finally settled in 1253 in Dekhu Valley, with its capital at Charadio, was later changed to Sukapa of Mao Shan tribe was the first Ahom king. Sukapa of Mao Shan tribe. That was the first Ahom king who subjugated the Chutias, Morans, Boraes, Nagas, Kacharis, and Kamata kingdom. In Ahom polity, nobles played a very important role at that time. The original councillors who accompanied Sukapa were Buragaon and Bargohen. Later, Barpatra Gohen was added by Si Hum Mong and Pratapa Singh. Further added Barbora and Barbukhan, that's why constituted the Council of Five and Patra Mantri. The first three were hereditary, permanent, and continued to be chosen from the descendants of those who accompanied Sukapa. There were also officials like Fukans, Rajkowas, and Barwas. Their position was neither hereditary nor permanent. Another important component of Ahom administration was the Payats. The Payats system was their socio-economic military organization. The adult male between 16 to 50 age group of entire Ahom community were arranged as Payats. Next is Odisha. On the eve of Turkish invasion, Odisha was under the control of Eastern Gangas. The Bakat and Nasri records that Bakhtiar Khalji had sent two brothers, Muhammad and Ahmad, to invade Jajnagar immediately before his death. At that time, Raj Raja III was the ruler of that particular place. The next invasion took place under Ghiyasuddin Ibaz soon after Anang Bhima III accession. Though the Tabakat-e-Nasri applauds the success of Ibaz and Chetaswara inscription, however, mention the success of Anang Bhima III, the clash. Next place is northern and western India. And we are starting with Kashmir. Geographically, Kashmir Valley is surrounded by Pir Panjal Ranges. Pir Panjal Ranges in the south and southwest. Kishtwar Valley in southeast and the north and northeast and northwest region is covered by the mighty central and northwestern Himalayan ranges. The Kashmir Valley mainly consists of, on the one hand, alluvial plains of Jhelum and its tributaries, and on the other hand, of plateaus. While alluvial plains are fertile and extensively cultivated, elevated plateaus are less fertile and either laid waste or, if cultivated, yield poor crop. Since Kashmir Valley is surrounded by mountain terrain, passes, Zojila Pass, Banihal Pass, like these passes occupy great importance and they had great impact on development of political and social economic process. Next, we are going to start about the invasion of that particular area. The invasion had its long-lasting impact. It paved the way for the establishment of Muslim rule in Kashmir. The way Raja Sahdeva tackled the Mongol problem, Mongols were very destructive problem of that time. Everybody was feared. Everybody was feared from the Mongols because they were very much horror of that time. Where they go, they destroy each and everything. That's why Indians were also horrified from that. The way Raja Sahdeva tackled the Mongol problem and the large-scale destruction and devastation struck by the Mongols created great dissatisfaction among his subjects. This was exploited well in Rinchen and a Bahuta prince of Ladakh to usurp the throne in 1320. Soon after he accepted Islam, assumed the title of Sultan Sadruddin. His subsequent murder was followed by a long period of internal strifes, which finally led to establishment of Shah Mir dynasty in Kashmir in 1339 by Shamsuddin. Later, Shah Mir ruler Shahabuddin tried to put the state on strong footing. When Timur invaded India in 1398, he sent his envoy Fawlad Bahadur and Zainuddin to Sultan Sikandar of Kashmir and asked for a huge sum. This resulted in large-scale anarchy till Zainul Abidin ascended the throne in 1420. He ruled the country with utmost vigor for 50 years and he extended his frontiers up to western Tibet and occupied Ladakh and Shin. But his deeds were soon undone by his successors. His death created internal feuds. Finally, the Sayyids succeeded in assuming power in beginning of 16th century. Next, we are talking about Rajputana, that is connected with northwest. The present northwest region of India comprises of Rajasthan and the part of Gujarat and Punjab. From the geographical point of view, this region consists of a vast Thar desert in which Bikaner, Jaisalmer, Barmer lie. In the southwest region are Kutch plains, in which Nagar Parkar state flourished. The states of Mewar, Dungarpur, Banswara, Chittor, Ranthambore flourished at the foothills of Aravalli ranges. Before the rise of tribal monarchies of Rajputs, there were local tribes, namely Bhils, Minas, Mairs, Jats. These tribes spread over different regions. For instance, the Bhils were dominant in Mewar, Dungarpur, Banswara states, while Minas, Mairs, and Jats were dominant in Jaipur, Jodhpur, Bikaner, respectively. These local tribes could not succeed in establishing monarchies as subsequently founded by other Rajput tribes who came from the northwest of India. Next is Goilas and Sisodias. The most powerful state which emerged in the northwest was the state of Mewar. During the 13th century, Jethra Singh consolidated the Guhila power but failed to face the Turkish menace. Alauddin Khalji succeeded in defeating Rana Ratan Singh and occupied Mewar in 1303. During the 14th century, internal feuds flared up in Mewar that resulted in the victory of Raja Hamir of Sisodia clan. That's why laid the foundation of Sisodia rule in Mewar. Hamir's successors extended the domain, which included Ajmer, Jajpur, Mandalgarh, Chappan, Bhundi, Nagaur, Jalore, and Sambandar. But it was under Rana Kumbha that the Sisodia power reached its peak. An interesting development during the early years of Rana Kumbha's reign was the increasing influence of Rathore clan. over the Sisodians. Next is Gehlots of Vagan. The Gehlots of Mewar did not confine themselves to Mewar only. During the first half of 12th century, Samant Singh of Mewar went to Wagad, Dungarpur, and Banswara, these places, to establish his own principality over there. But he could not control the region for a long time on account of intervention of Gujarat. When Gujarat's control over Wagad weakened, Jagat Singh, a descendant of Samant, re-established his suzerainty in the region in the beginning of 13th century. The Goila hold was consolidated in Wagad during 14th and 15th century. Next is Rathors of Marwar. The Rathors of Marwar migrated from the region of Kannauj to Pali during mid-13th century. Siha, the Rathor chief, helped the Brahmins of Pali in freeing the region from the incursions of Males and Minas. That's why he established his suzerainty over that region around 1243. Asthan and the subsequent Rathor chief succeeded in extending their sway over Idil, Alani, Mandsaur, Jaisalmer, Barmer, Umarkot, and Bhinar. But the Rathor power reached its climax during the reign of Rao Chunda and Rao Jodha in 1433, 38 to 89. Next is minor Rajput principality. They were earlier we have studied about major Rajputs. Now we are going to study about minor Rajputs. Despite the above mentioned Rajput principalities, there arose a number of small chiefdoms in Rajputana during 13th to 15th century. Foremost were the Bhatias of Jaisalmer, who migrated from Punjab to Thar Desert in the beginning of 11th century. Throughout the 14th to 15th century, Jaisalmer rulers had frequent clashes with the rulers of Mewar, Multan, Umarkot, and Bikaner. Next came the Kachwahas, who migrate to Dhundar from central India. They were the feudatories of Gurjar Pratihara's rulers. During the 11th century, Kachwaha chief Dula Rai migrated from Narwar to eastern Rajasthan, where he subdued the Burgaris and laid the foundation of Dhundar state. Kachwahas controlled Amber, Med, Berat, and Shekhawati region during the 15th century. However, they rose to prominence during the Mughal period at that time. Next, we are going to study about the Gujarat. The kingdom of Gujarat, since its inception had been constantly chasing with its neighboring territories, just like Malwa, Rajputana, Khandesh, and Bahmani kingdoms. And how their relations with Malwa. Now we are going to study about this. The Malwa rulers were their traditional enemies. In 1408, Muzaffar Shah attacked Malwa and made its ruler Husham Shah captive. Though Husham Shah had to accept the suzerainty of Muzaffar Shah, he was jealous of the rising power of Gujarat at that time. Next is relations with Rajputana. The Rajput state of Champaner also constantly chased with Gujarat. But finally, it was annexed to Gujarat kingdom by Mahmud Bighara in 1483 to 84, who renamed it Muhammadabad and made it his second capital. By Mahmud Bighara reign, other small Rajput kingdoms of Junagadh, Sorat, Kutch, and Dwarka were also subjugated with the boundary of Muzaffar Shahi domain reached the remote corners of Kathiawar Peninsula. Next is relations with Bahmani and Khandesh. The Bahmani ruler Firoz Shah, the time period of Firoz Shah 1397 to 1422. He maintained cordial relation with the Gujarat rulers. But after his death, Radical change came about with the accession of Ahmad Bahmani, who formed matrimonial alliance with the ruler of Khandesh, means marriage reliance. In 1508, the Delhi Sultan Sikandar Lodi sent an embassy to Gujarat. The embassies of Sikandar Lodi and that of Ismail Safavi of Iran greatly increased the prestige of the Gujarati ruler. It also suggests the important place. What was the place of that particular area? Mahmud Begara occupied in the contemporary national and international sea. Next is Sindh. Now we are going to study about the Sindh. Sindh was another independent state on the western border of India. The history of the foundation of Muslim power in Sindh goes back to 712 when Muhammad bin Qasim attacked Sindh. The Sumiras seem to have established their power sometime in the 10th century in Sindh. We do not have much information regarding their rule and their relation with the neighboring states, but stray references suggest that their influence extends as far as Debel and Makaran coast. They also had parts of Kutch under their control also. Next is regional states and legitimization. Characteristics of regional states. Under regional rulers, the maximum area lay outside their effective control. Even where they exercised a good measure of control, there too they often faced some difficulty. On this basis, we can divide their domain into three kinds. Number one, where land revenue was extracted from the peasants directly through revenue officials, and the state's influence and control was of a high order. Number two, areas where revenue was collected through local chief and state's control was still good enough. Number three, areas where the states were satisfied with the tribute only, here the degree of control was minimal. This relationship had different bearing on regional rulers, relation with the nobles, tributary chiefs, rajas, and local aristocracy. Next, we are going to study about the nobles and land aristocracy. The nobles played a very crucial role in 13th to 15th century regional politics. They hailed from heterogeneous elements, including both the Hindus as well as the Muslims. They used to receive high-sounding titles just like Khan-e-Azam, Khan-e-Muazzam, and Mahapatra Divara, etc. These nobles used to receive their salaries in the form of ikta. Ikta is a revenue assignment in the lieu of salary. In turn, they maintained law and order, helped in revenue extraction, in times of need supplied armed personnel to the king. Their position was not hereditary and they owed their power and position to the king's favor, but gradually their assignments assumed hereditary character. Next is landed aristocracy. In the regional kingdoms, landed aristocracy played an important role in revenue collection, maintenance of law and order. They are having two categories. We can divide them into two categories, just like landed aristocracy located in peripheral area. In this category come the chief, rajas, and so-called intermediary jamindars. Number two, landed classes who lived within the mainland, the so-called primary jamindars. Next is North Indian kingdoms as successor states. Generally, the regional kingdoms are considered as successor states of sultanate. An argument has been presented that the founders of regional kingdoms of at one point of time were either governors of sultan and had served under them in some capacity. This was true in some cases but cannot be applied invariably. For example, Zafar Khan, Dilawar Khan, Malik Sabar, the founder of regional kingdoms of Gujarat, Malwa, and Jaunpur, respectively, served as governor under the Tughlaq Sultans. Next, succession issue, how they do the things for their succession. like the Sultanate in the regional states as well, whether ruled by a Hindu or a Muslim. There were no set rules of succession hence there were always conspiracies, intrigues among various groups in which sometimes women also played a significant role. In Rajputana, that's why the law of primogeniture was not strictly adhered to. In Kashmir, no succession rules could develop. In Assam, among the Ahoms, the Council of Great Nobles, Bar Gohain and Bura Gohain played an important role in appointing and nominating. Legitimization. The king was at the helm of affairs, and he was the final authority in all matters. But in the same Islamic world, there was no legal sanction for the Sultan's authority. And it was the Caliph who was the political head of Muslims. The Delhi Sultans used to recite khutbah in Caliph's name and inscribe his name on their coins to get legal sanction for their authority. For the regional states, the need for legitimization, not only in the eyes of the masses but also their competitors, became more important for every succession was usually proceed by clashes and wars. For those regional states which were situated too far away to get the legal sanction from the Caliph at Baghdad, the ulama and Sufis were more potential legitimates. Next, we are going to start about Unit 4 because earlier we have studied about, yes, in Unit 3 we have studied about 4 or 5 regions, just like Sindh we have read. We have read about Rajputana kingdoms, Alauddin Khiljis and Chittor and Mewar, Sisodia clan also. We have studied about a lot of kingdoms just like North, East, West and South. And we have studied about Deccan. No, in Unit 4 we will be going to study about Deccan area, in South area. We have studied about nobles. What was the role of noble and aristocracy in that particular area in 13th to 15th century? Regional states, how they connected with their regions, how they connected with their nearby areas, how they connected that. Sindh, yes, Sindh, the Muslim majority was there at that time also. The ruler was Muslim. Relation with Bahmani and Khandesh, Kamrup, Rajputana, relation with Malwa, and relation with Gujarat, and minor Rajput principality and major Rajput principality. Rathors of Bengal, Gehlots of Wagad, Gohilas, Sisodias. So many things we have studied about. Northwest, Rajputana kingdom we have studied about in Northwest. Next, we have studied about Kashmir also. Kashmir was surrounded by so many things, just like ranges, just like mountains, and just like valleys. Kashmir Valley also connected mountain terrain and the passes and terrain areas connected with that. So, the people of that particular area were living constantly, were living peacefully. Odisha, we have studied about how they connected with Odisha and how they invade, the Turkish people invade at that time in Odisha. Ahoms, we have studied about. Kamata Kamru, Assam, Bengal also, a very fertile agricultural land. Earlier I have discussed about it. Jaunpur also we have discussed about. Malwa. And after this, after these units, after these regions, we will go to study about Unit 4. And in Unit 4, we will study about Vijayanagar and Bahmani Empire. That is very important at that time because Unit 3, if we are going to study about Unit 3, as you all students are studying Unit 3, then in this Unit 3, only places you need to explain in your question paper, in your answer sheets, you need to explain the regions and how the people of that particular area connected with that regions, how the geographical conditions were good or bad at that time in that particular regions. Just like Gohilots of Bogar, the agriculture condition, geographical condition, economical condition, and we will study about all of things about this. Next, Unit 4, Vijayanagar and Deccan State. Have you heard about Vijayanagar Empire? If in your earlier classes, just like say 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, in any class, you have heard about the story of Krishna Deva Raya. That was very famous, very important ruler of that particular area of that particular time, Vijayanagar Empire. In this present unit, we will discuss about the process of emergence and expansion and consolidation of Vijayanagar power over the South Indian subcontinent macro region as well as the disintegration also. The invasion of Deccan and South India by Delhi Sultans weakened the power of four kingdoms in South India. Which four kingdoms? Just like Pandyas, Hoysala kingdoms in south, Kakatiyas, and Yadava kingdoms in north. Yes, the Delhi Sultans weakened the power of these four kingdoms in South India and made them what? Subservient to Delhi Sultanate. This was followed by the emergence and expansion of Bahmani and Vijayanagar kingdoms in the second quarter of 14th century. In this unit, we will also trace the story of the end of Tughlaq rule in Deccan and its replacement by Bahmani Sultan, taking the account of conquest, consolidation, administrative system of that period. Bahmani Sultans, and who were before that? Tughlaqs, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. What was the geographical setting of South India at that time? In geographical setting of South India, we are going to study about the Deccan in that field. Deccan is bounded in north and northeast by Narmada and Mahanadi rivers. Because if we are going to study about any particular area, then we need to know about the geographical condition of that particular area. Geographical condition. To know about geographical condition, we need to know about the north, east, west, and south, and connected rivers. Nilgiri Hills and Pennar River from its southern boundary to west and east lie the western and eastern Ghats. Yes, near about Deccan. If you see the map of India, then you will see the western Ghat and eastern Ghat. That, along with long coastal strip on both the sides, yes, like this. The area between vast western sea coast and the Sahyadri ranges is known as Konkan. Konkan is a sub-region of Deccan. The whole strip is full of dense forest and the soil is not adequately fertile. On account of its hilly and forest tracts, the Deccan states were difficult to penetrate, but from the side of southern Gujarat, it had an easy access through the fertile Beglana tract. For this reason, it repeatedly fell under the sway of Gujarat rulers. Finally, in the 16th century, the Portuguese altered the balance in that region. Portuguese. Yes, Portuguese connected to south also. The rivers too are not perennial. As a result, tank irrigation became very important at that time. Yes, we are talking about Vijayanagar Empire. We are talking about Deccan area. Okay, if the rivers were not connected to that particular empire, if rivers are not connected to that particular empire, then the ruler of that particular empire, they need to make canals. They need to make tanks for the irrigation purposes. Yes, the rulers made a lot of tanks related to irrigation activities. Along the Krishna Valley lies the Kurnool Rocks, where the famous Golconda mines were located. Golconda mines. The southern Deccan Plateau is also rich in mineral resources, just like copper, just like lead, just like zinc, iron, gold, manganese. Deccan Plateau, Southern Deccan Plateau, which we can say the modern Karnataka. Next, we are going to study about South India, how they connected to South India, and how the geographical condition was good at that time in South India. The region south of Krishna Tungabhadra Doab formed South India. The coastal belt in the called coastal belt, which we were talking about, the coastal belt in the east is known as Coromandel, while the western tract from south of Kannada, from the river Netravati down to Cape Comorin, is known as Malabar, which is bounded by the western Ghats in east. During the Chola period, have you heard about the Cholas? Chola ruler, Rajendra Chol, very famous ruler of that time. They made a lot of temples in their particular time period. They made a lot of temples of Vishnu and Shiva at that time, just for the popularity of their rulers and for the for gaining the blessings of the particular gods. The main thing was the popularity of that particular rulers. During the Chola period, the focus of activity was confined mainly around the Kaveri tract, which during the Vijayanagar period shifted further northeast towards Tungabhadra, Krishnadwar, Rayalaseema tract, where the capital of Vijayanagar was situated. Throughout the 13th to 16th century, this tract remained the center of struggle. 13th to 16th century continuous remain the center of struggles. First between Vijayanagar and Bahamani, and later between Vijayanagar and its successors, Nayak states and Bijapur rulers. The Qutub Shahi rulers also joined the conflict frequently. Qutub Shahi rulers, they also joined the conflict frequently at that time. Establishment and consolidation of Vijayanagar Empire. How they established their empire, how they consolidate their empire at that time. Now we are going to study about the early phase of that particular time. The early phase means 1336 to 1509. Rivalries in this period ensued among Vijayanagar, Behmanis, Reddis of Kondavidu in the reaches of Upper Krishna Godavari Delta, the Velamas of Rajakonda in the lower reaches of Krishna Godavari Delta, the Telugu Chodas between Krishna Godavari region and the Gajapatis of Odisha over the control of Krishna Godavari Delta, Tungabhadra Doab, and Marathwada, especially Konkan. Yes, you can listen about the names in South. During 1422 to 1446, clashes over the annexation of Raichur Doab started between the Vijayanagar and Bahmani rulers, which resulted in the defeat of Vijayanagar. This generally exposed the weaknesses of Vijayanagar army. It forced its ruler to recognize the army by enlisting Muslim archers and engaging better quality horses. The Muslim archers were given revenue assignments. During this period, the entire Kondavidu region was annexed to the Vijayanagar Empire. Now Vijayanagar Empire extended Kondavidu region also connected with Vijayanagar Empire. Krishna Deva Raya, the famous and the most important ruler of Vijayanagar Empire, the time period of Krishna Deva Raya is 1509 to 29, 1529. This phase is marked by achievements of Vijayanagar's greatest ruler, Krishna Dev Raya. 1509 to 1529. During this period, the power of Bahmanis declined, leading to the emergence of five kingdoms, just like Nizam Shahis of Ahmednagar, Adil Shahis of Bijapur, and Imad Shahis of Berar, and the Qutub Shahi of Golconda, Barid Shahi of Bidar. On the ruins of Bahmani Empire, which we shall discuss in section 4.11. This helped Krishna Dev Raya greatly in capturing Kovilkonda and Raichur from the Adil Shahi of Bijapur, and Gulbarga and Bidar from the Bahmanis. Krishnadev Raya also recovered Udaygiri, Kondavidu, south of river Krishna, and Nalgonda in Andhra Pradesh. Telangana and Warangal were taken from the Gajpatis. These were the winnings of Krishnadev Raya at that time. The period of instability in 1529 to 1542. Instability. What instabilities came at that time? Because Krishna Dev Raya was winning so many places at that time. And what was the instability that it came at that time? Yes, when Krishna Dev Raya's death generated internal strifes and attracted external invasions. When a particular or the main ruler of that particular area dead at that time, so many chief and chiefdoms and so many mini rulers they came to attract and they came to invade that particular area. That is the instability. Taking advantage of internal situation, Ismail Adil Khan of Bijapur seized Raipur, Raichur, and Mudgal. He seized very soon at that time because he has seen that the Krishnadev Raya's death at that time. That's why he take the profit of these internal strifes. The Gajapati and Golconda kings also, though unsuccessfully, attempt to occupy Kondavidu. During this turbulence, Krishnadev Raya's brother Achyut Raya succeeded in usurping the Vijayanagar throne. Krishnadev Raya's brother. But the later death once again led to the war of succession between Achyut Raya's son and Sadasiva. Sadasiva was the nephew of Achyut Raya. Finally, Sadasiva ascended the throne in 1542. Yes, the last thing of period of instability. Sadasiva ascended the throne in 1542, but the real power remained in the hands of Ramaraya, and Ramaraya was the son-in-law of Krishnadev Raya. What was the situation of Portuguese at that time? Why Portuguese came and why they want to enter in that particular area? Ramaraya's relation with the Portuguese were not very cordial. Martin Alfonso de Souza, who became the governor of Goa in 1542, that plundered Bhatkal. After that, Ramaraya succeeded in concluding a treaty with Alfonso de Souza, successor, João de Castro in 1547, by which Ramaraya secured a monopoly of the horse trade. Ramaraya tried to curb Portuguese influence in San Thome on the Coromandel coast. Vijayanagar's relation with the deep south, how the relation was good or bad. But by 1512, Vijayanagar rulers succeeded in bringing almost the whole southern peninsula under their control. The small Hindu chiefdom of Raja Gambhir Jai, the Zamorin of Calicut, ruler of Kullion, accepted the suzerainty of Vijayanagar. By 1496, almost the whole deep south up to the Cape Comorin including local Chola and Chera rulers, Tanjore and Pudukottai and Mahabhusha of Madurai, were subjugated. However, the Pandya ruler of Tuticorin and Kayathar was allowed to rule as the tribute. The Muslim states, Deccan, at that time. The Deccan Muslim states by 1538, the Bahamani kingdom split up into five states: Ahmednagar, Bidar, Bijapur, Golconda, and Virar. Ahmednagar and Bijapur came to a mutual understanding in 1542 and 43, which gave Bijapur a free hand against Vijayanagar, whereas Ahmednagar was to expand at the cost of Bidar. With this understanding, Ibrahim Adil Shah attacked Vijayanagar, which was repulsed. But the understanding did not remain for long. Ahmednagar received Rama Raya's help to capture the fort of Kalyani from Bidar. Rama Raya's relation with the Deccan state were quite complex. He helped Ahmednagar against Bidar, but when Ahmednagar attacked Gulbarga, Ram Raya came to help Bijapur ruler. Ram Raya succeeded in bringing about a collective security plan between the Vijayanagar and Deccani Muslim states. It was agreed that aggression by any one of them would bring forth armed intervention by the rest of parties against aggressor. The religion and politics under the Vijayanagar. How they celebrate their rituals. Ritual kingship. It is generally emphasized that the principle of strict adherence to dharma was the chief constituent and distinguishing feature of the Vijayanagar state. But very often it was the Hindu rulers against whom the Vijayanagar rulers had to fight. The Gajpati of Odisha, the most strategically placed contingent of the Vijayanagar army, were under the charge of Muslim commanders. The Muslim archers were employed by King Devad Raya II. These Muslim contingents played an important role in the victory of Vijayanagar against its Hindu rival. The political role of Brahmins. During this period, the majority of educated Brahmins desired to become government servants as administrators and accountants, which offered them good career prospects. The imperial secretariat was totally manned by Brahmins. These Brahmins were differently from the other Brahmins. They belonged to a subcaste called Telugu Niyogis. They were not very orthodox in performing religious rites. They also worked as potential legitimates. The Brahman Vijayanagar Vidyaranya and his kinsmen were the ministers of Sangama brothers. Relationship relationship between kings, sects, and the temples. Yes, these relationships explained in the term of four assertions. Number one, temples were the basic for sustaining kingship. Sectarian leaders were the connecting links between kings and temples. Though the routine supervision of temples was done by local sectarian groups, the task of solving disputes concerning temples was in the hands of king. The intervention of king in the above matter was administrative, not legislative. Yes. Next is local administration under the Vijayanagar Empire. Number one, Nankara system. The Nankara system was an important characteristic of Vijayanagar political organization. The military chief, warriors held the title of Nayaka and Amara Nayaka. It is difficult to classify these warriors on the basis of definite office, ethnic identity, set of duties, rights, privileges. The institution of Nayaka was studied in detail by two Portuguese, for now known as Domingo Pais, who visited India during the reigns of Krishnadev Raya, and the Achyut Raya of Tuluva dynasty during the 16th century. They regard the Nayakas simply as agents of Rayas. The evidence of Nunes for the payments made by Nayakas to the Rayas bring up the question of feudal obligations. These came to India who visited India during Krishna Deva Raya. The Iyer system. The Iyers were village servants, functionaries constituted of groups of families. These were the headmen, accountant, watchmen, and they were given a portion of a plot in a village to that particular area. Sometimes they had to pay a fixed rent, but generally these plots were manya, or these plots were tax free, as no regular tax was imposed on their agricultural income. In exceptional cases, direct payments in kind were made for services performed by village functionaries. These were Iyer systems. And next, we are going to study about land and income rights. We find references to three major categories of land tenure: Amara Nayaka, Bandharavada, and Manya. These indicate the way in which the village income was distributed. The Bandharavada was a crown village comprising the smallest category. A part of its income was utilized to maintain the Vijayanagar forts. Income from the Manya, means tax-free villages, was used to maintain the Brahmins, temples, mathas. The largest category was of the Amara villages given by Vijayanagar rulers to Amara Nayakas. Their holders did not possess property rights in land but enjoyed privileges over its income only. Their incomes was very much and they enjoyed that very much. The Amara tenure was primarily residual in the sense that its income was distributed after deductions had been made for support of Brahmins and forts. Next, economic role of temples at that time. During the Vijayanagar period, temples emerged as important landholders. Hundreds of villagers were granted to the deities which were worshipped in the large temple. Temple officers managed Devadana villages to ensure that the grant was utilized properly. The income from Devadana villages provided subsistence to ritual functions. It was also utilized to provide food offerings, purchase goods essential for carrying out the ritual rites. Next is nature of Vijayanagar state, Deccan state. Some scholars try to explain the character of Vijayanagar state in backdrop of feudal structure. They argue that the practice of giving fresh land grants to Brahmins was an important factor which led to the rise of feudal segments. Next is rise of Bahmani power. The political development of Bahmani kingdom can be divided into two phases. First phase activities was Gulbarga, and next second phase the capital shifted to Bidar, which was more centrally located and was very fertile land at that time. Next is central and provincial administration under the Bahmani kingdom. During Muhammad first region, the Bahmani kingdom was divided into four atraf or four provinces: Daulatabad, Berar, Bidar, Gulbarga, each ruled by tarafdars. Since Gulbarga was most important province, only most trusted nobles were appointed, who were called Mir Naib, governors of other provinces. Army organization under the Bahmani kingdom. Niccolo Conti, an Italian traveler who visited India in 15th century, and writes that their army used javelins, swords, arm pieces, round shields, bones, and bows and arrows. It means that the army of that particular area, they were having a lot of tools and lot of weapons at that time, and the army organization was very successful in Bahmani Empire. How they formed their political system at that time. The decline of Bahmani power gave way to the rise of five kingdoms in Deccan. The death of Mahmud Gawan, Ashfaqi noble, virtually sealed the fate of Bahmani power in the Deccan. Out of five states that emerged after the decline of Bahmani kingdoms, the founders of three, Bijapur, Bidar, and Golconda, were Afaki nobles. Dakhini factor hardly dominated their relationship. Instead, it was based more on what suited their interest, circumstances, exigencies of the time accordingly. Now, it's time to over the class and we will study about Unit 5 and 6 in our next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.